And it's like, yeah, believe it or not, there are people listening to HVAC podcasts for 30, 45 minutes. It's like, those people are probably a little bit warmer than the people that just see like your Facebook ads.
Hey there, and welcome to a brand new episode of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hassman, and joining me today is a brand new rock star. Super excited to dive into the topic today. He's the founder of We Feature You PR. It's a PR company that helps individuals and businesses establish themselves through press, podcasts, and TV. Zachary Bernard, thanks for joining me, man.
Well, thank you so much for having me on, Kirby. Really excited to be here.
Yeah. So I'm interested in diving into your topic because you ditched sort of traditional PR for podcast guesting and built a whole company around it, which is, that means you believe in it. So what made you realize that podcasts were that future of promotion, and maybe what were you seeing that other people weren't?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would say ditch. We definitely still do like a little bit of PR, but yes, 90% of what we do is like podcasts nowadays. I think the real shift that we took is like we've done PR for like a while, and we've seen it's really great to like have like articles, have like a bit of SEO benefit. But I mean, you run your own podcast. I was looking at your LinkedIn, and I know that you post like some content like pretty actively. And one of the things that a lot of people started saying is like, hey, I want to like build my brand. Like, I want to post content. I want to be seen as like a thought leader. And in one capacity, like PR helps to do that. But the podcast is really where the video content is. This is where you can hear the personality of someone. I have a big belief that we're definitely in like an attention economy, that everything nowadays is all about attention. I mean, there's a reason people, when they do Facebook ads, the first 15 seconds, you have to make sure it's a very captivating hook because you lose the attention of like everyone. So if you're just posting some like LinkedIn blog posts or like the usual like ChatGPT posts, like your amazing insights, people are going to skip over that. They're not going to be reading it. But if you have the advantage of being able to push out like some video content first, that's going to help to really drive people forward. And it's really obviously like a marketing funnel. It's going to be like top of the funnel. People, there's like that market awareness. They know who you are. And if you're able to capture that, then you can get people towards like the end of the funnel, nurture them, build out like relationships on. With like podcasts, it depends on the podcast. I know your format, you typically try to do them 15, 20 minutes. Mine, I run my own too, maybe 30, but a lot of podcasts are 30, 45 minutes. And when you're thinking about building more of like that trust, that authority, like there's people listening to an entire podcast, maybe around like HVAC. Like I have clients that work and like they serve the HVAC space. And it's like, yeah, believe it or not, there are people listening to HVAC podcasts for 30, 45 minutes. It's like, those people are probably a little bit warmer than the people that just see like your Facebook ads. So
Yeah,
I'd say that's probably one of the main reasons we decided like, hey, podcasts, it's great. We have the relationship with the PR. And I think it's a bit more valuable than just getting like an article out there, from what I could tell here.
Yeah. Again, it makes sense that you're preaching to the choir. Obviously, I have a podcast, but I was actually hearing Alex Hormozi talk about this recently, where he was talking about with the people you spend the most time with are the people that you trust the most, right? And so by spending all of that time with someone who's created a podcast, it just makes sense that once they get into a business conversation with you, they're going to trust what you have to say because they already believe you, right? Like, so that makes sense. I've seen you say that you could turn one podcast interview into a month's worth of content. As a person who does podcasts, I'm interested. You've got me leaning in, right? So can you walk us through how that actually works?
Yeah, so there's of course like a couple of ways that you can go differently about it. I mean, the different type of piece of content you're going to look at, blog posts, you're going to look at posts, you're going to look at audiogram, short form clips. Sometimes you can have little like 3 minutes, like little like highlights of like a podcast you can publish on YouTube. And that amounts to like a lot of content. Like what I see, like most people, they repurpose their podcast. They might do 2 shorts, they'll post it. That's like pretty much it. But if you do take the time, you manually go through like the entire podcast, whether you hire an editor to do it or you hire a company that specifically focuses on that, you can find a lot of nuggets in a podcast, believe it or not. A lot of people don't understand. I'm like, okay, maybe there's like 4 clips in there. But no, there can be a lot. And one of the things I teach to like anyone is like, hey, even if you have the same piece of content, you can reformat it in like multiple ones. For example, if you have a short form clip, you can reformat that in like an audiogram. So again, it's a different form of content. And For example, even if you have 10,000 followers on LinkedIn, I can guarantee maybe not even 1% of them are going to see the post in the first place. If you hit them with a different post, it's a new post for people. It's new to the algorithm. You can post something else. And the way I like to think about it is like, obviously you want to be on the channels that matter to you the most. For example, if you B2B focus, TikTok might not make too much sense to you. LinkedIn probably might be the platform you put the most focus on. So you want to use the content and reformat it based on like the platform. So I wouldn't go post a 3-minute video on like Instagram, for example. That's more like a YouTube type format here. But in terms of like more like practical like application, we like anytime that we create content for like any of our clients or even like myself, because I do get on podcasts and I run my own show, is we do take more like a manual approach where we go through the transcript, find the places that work the best. If you're like, hey, I'm just trying to get a lot of content, I don't really have a lot of time to spend, you can use platforms such as like Opus Clip. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of it. Most people have, where you just throw the drive link, the YouTube link. It's going to pop up a bunch of content.
It's amazing,
it works,
actually.
Yeah, if you want a bunch of content, it works great. I've noticed that typically because it's an AI, it tends to find content that doesn't make much sense or just starts like a random point of the content. The podcast. Yes. I don't personally use it.
Yeah, for sure.
It saves time, so it can be worth using there.
Yeah, well, I find we in the interest of transparency, we use Riverside, and then we occasionally use Opus Clip, but it's like it will create 30 clips, and we find that about 2 or 3 of them are pretty good that we can then take and edit down into something that does make a little bit more sense to your point, but it's still it's kind of that I think kind of a hybrid model there for you.
Yeah, I've seen the same thing. It's a hit or miss, but
that's fair. Well, so one of the things I know is that we feature UPR to 400 plus clients, which is very impressive. And you did it with no external funding, which is key. I think so many people, when they start a business, their first thing is they want to raise funds. So what does bootstrapping the service business teach you about growth that you can't learn in another?
Yeah, I mean, this is my first actual successful company. So I will tell you that when I look at anyone that talk about like raising funding and everything, like I'm a bit unfamiliar with that world. The reason is, like you said, like I've never done it. The thing I would say is you have to be very close to like your numbers. Like you need to know like, okay, what are my profit margins? How much can I afford to like reinvest? What is the value of a customer, like the LTV of a client? So I'm like, okay, I can spend this amount of money to acquire a client. It's worth it, even if I don't get that return on investment like directly. That's like the first thing that like I would say, but you also need to be optimizing in like any way that you can. And what I mean by that, because you want to be careful with that. And you talked about Alex Hormozi like earlier, which I think is funny because there was like one thing that he was talking about. It's like, hey, if you're thinking maybe about like building a solution, it's not just about the cost to like hire the people, it's also the cost that it takes to like build the solution. And I've been guilty of that too. When sometimes I'm going to try to like build something and then I realize like, okay, this is going to take me 40 hours. And then if I do the math, it's going to save us like 30 minutes and like 2 months. Like, is that really worth doing? So you need to find the high leverage, like needle moving things that are going to move your business forward and like optimize it. Like sometimes what I like to do is I do like a monthly diagnostic. I just look at everything we're doing. Like, okay, this is a point of optimization that could help us to obviously keep more of a profit, higher margins, reinvest within the company. But I think the simplest piece of advice is when you start, you have to be scrappy. I mean, you literally just have to do it what you have. Sometimes it's not going to be practical, but as you scale, you start, getting a little bit of capital, you can reinvest into it and it makes your life a little bit easier. But optimization is probably my favorite one, I would say.
Yeah, I love that. It reminds me a little bit, 2 things of this theory of constraints. It's like figure out where the bottleneck actually is and fix that as opposed to trying to fix every other thing that is going on in your business. The other thing I would say is, and I've been very guilty of this in the past, is that I try to I try to automate before I really know if the process is working. So by doing it manually, then you go, oh, well, that didn't work. And so by the time you do automate, you're automating something actually works. And I think that's a mistake I've made. And so
I made it too.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, final question for you. This has been great. For a business owner who wants to start building authority and visibility, which obviously is something that you help with, but they don't want to spend money on ads, where do they start?
Yeah, good question. I would say if you've never done like any podcast, PR or anything, first thing I would probably try to do is like do like you. Like I see that you've been posting like educational content on LinkedIn. you want to do that. Literally just take your camera, start talking to it, post a little bit of educational content that's actually like valuable to the audience. And the reason that you want to do that first is that because when you try to go maybe reach out to some journalists, reach out to some podcast hosts, they can see that you have this content, especially if you've never done like speaking on stage, for example. When a podcast host is considering having someone on their show, what are they considering? Is this person going to be a good fit for my show? Are they going to provide value? They're going to look at your social. And if you're able to have a layer of like credibility, validation to like what you speak to, and obviously they can hear you speak confidently about like what you're an expert on, it's going to make your life much more easier. And then after you have that layer, there's a couple things I would recommend, but I'm not sure if you've ever heard of, it was known as Hero before. Now it's Connectively. It's like a little like platform where like journalists say like, hey, I want to quote for this like article I'm writing and everything like that. Most simple thing that you can do. It's literally free as well. So if you're like, hey, I don't want to spend paid ads, do that first. We've done it. I've done it myself. I think I got some features in like entrepreneur.com, which is like pretty huge. Get some mentions in there. And then afterwards, you're like, hey, let's get podcasts. Because I know we talked about that a lot. I would start reaching out to some podcasts so you think you can provide value. Go with a value-driven first approach. So be less like, what can I get out of this? And more, what kind of value can I provide to this person? And if you take that entire approach throughout your entire pitching, it's going to work very well. And then if you're like, hey, I want to get on bigger podcasts, bigger places, maybe consider working with a company that knows what they're doing, whether that's us or like another company out there here.
That's really cool. This is great, Zachary. Where can people find more about you guys? Where can they learn more?
Yeah, I mean, wefeature.com/pod, so /pod. I have a little page, little video that explains a bit what we do. There's a little book a call button. And then you can also find me at it's Zach B on basically all social. So should be pretty easy to find there.
I love it. I love it. Well, this has been really fun. I really appreciate you taking the time. We'll do it again sometime, okay?
Thank you so much, Kirby.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.